What's that?
Well, great-great-great-great-grandma has just given me her old photo album and diary. Here, you can hold that one. She started her diary in 1886 when she was in Primer 1 at Opua School.
Gosh, she must be old now.
Yes, great-great-great-great-great. Oh, forget all the greats. I think I'll just call her Grandma from now on. Grandma's turning 125 this year.
Wow, that's old. By the way, what's Primer 1?
Well, that's what they used to call the new entrance class. I think that in those days they didn't have as much fun as we do now. It was pretty strict, and they would get the cane for just spelling a word incorrectly or for getting their sums wrong. And as for answering the teacher back, they're probably made to clean the toilets.
Ooh, I'm glad it's not like that now. Of course we wouldn't be getting the cane or cleaning the toilets, would we?
No way.
But we know some kids who would. Grandma says that she used to come to school on a barge that was skimmed by Mrs. Larkham's granddad. That must have been fun.
I don't think it would have been much fun in the middle of winter, even in the winterless north. Hey, here's a photo of an old steam train. That must be Gabrielle. I suppose it's Kawakawa.
Yes, it is. It says here that it started running in about 1863 to carry coal. Did you know it's the only steam train in the world that runs through the middle of a state highway?
That doesn't look like much of a state highway to me. There are horses tied to posts outside the shop.
Here's a photo of Opua School when Grandma was a pupil there. There were 40 children at the school with only one class. That's a huge class, isn't it?
Yeah.
No wonder they didn't have much fun. They wouldn't have been able to move.
Hey, it says here that the first headmaster was Mr. Oldham?
I think it's Oldham.
Oldham was Mr. Oldham. By 1908, the roll was only 14. One of the headmasters died of influenza in the epidemic of 1919, and one of them had such a strong Irish accent, wow, that's hard to say, that no one could understand him. Grandma left school when she was 12 because most kids didn't go to high school, particularly the girls. Anyway, the nearest high school was in Whangarei, and there was no way of getting there. There was no bus, and no one owned cars.
Look, here's a photo of Grandma and Grandpa's wedding. They don't look very happy. They're not smiling.
Grandma says that they went to live with his mother and father. I don't think I'd like that. They had 3 children who all went to Opua School.
Did they ever have their own house?
Yes, they did, but not long after they moved in. Grandpa was sent off to the war and was away for 5 years.
That must have been awful for Grandma. Here's a photo of a whole lot of soldiers getting into a train.
That one's cute, don't you think?
Nah, that one's way cuter.
Anyway, yes, they were going to Auckland to get on a ship to go overseas.
Did he come back?
Yes, he did, but Grandma says that he wasn't the same man when he got back.
Here are some class photos of Grandma's children in 1939. It looks like there are more classes.
Yes, the headmaster was Mr. Mackay, and Grandma's children grew up and had their own children who also went to Opua School. In those days, they had dances at the Opua Hall, and people used to come from all over the place every Saturday night.
I'd love to have been there.
Yeah, me too. By 1939, another war was happening overseas, and New Zealand soldiers were joining the army, and some were being sent overseas. Grandma says there were great parties in the Opua Hall to farewell the ones heading off overseas.
I bet there were. There's a photo of people camping in big tents. Where's this?
Well, some New Zealand soldiers were stationed in the Bay of Islands. Some slept in an army camp at Russell, and some slept down at the waterfront. They were trying to stop the Japanese and Germans from invading New Zealand, but that doesn't seem to have worked. I don't think they had much to do, though. Mrs. Longie's father was the army medical officer at Russell, and he told her that the only casualty during his time was a farmer who was killed when his tractor rolled on him. He seemed to have spent the rest of his